Hello, all you beautiful, and thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. I'm here today to talk to you about fasting. It's a topic that I get asked about a lot. I've shared some of my own fasting stories, but there are a lot of things you need to do before you start fasting, and there is a process to this. So I want to touch upon different topics to help you learn more about fasting, why you need to fast, what it can look like, your detox symptoms, emotional releases, how to break a fast. So stay tuned. I'm Hilde Larsen. I'm a health and mindset coach. I'm an author of 3 books. I'm a speaker. I'm a detox specialist. Most of all, I'm a life enthusiast, and I do help people one-on-one on top of having my membership site. So if you're not a member yet, this is where all the good stuff happens. Every month, we do amazing things. And you can go to my website, InspiredByHilde.com, go to membership, and you can read up and even read testimonials. Okay, so fasting. This is an amazing topic. Now, in my life, I want to share a little bit of what I experienced, because I lived what you most likely have been living if you're seeking health, if you're seeking wellness and happiness, which we all are seeking. But if you're desperate, you probably came from a place of having had stress and discomfort in your life for a pretty long time. And for me, it was a lifelong experience. I just didn't know it was happening. I was so stubborn. I was so much asleep. I'm not going to tell you my whole story. You can go to Amazon and get the book From Hell to Inspired, which will tell you everything. But needless to say, I was diagnosed with several autoimmune so-called diseases. Severe rheumatoid arthritis to be one. I was diagnosed with Lyme. I was diagnosed with multiple ulcers. I was in such a bad shape. I filled up with medications just to try and numb down some of the symptoms, or at least that was they were doing. But I kept getting worse and worse in the sense that I started having anxiety. I started having depression, and I could just feel it wasn't me. So what happened was that I woke up one morning, and this might sound way out there, but I woke up one morning after I had a dream where I could see all the syringes and all of my meds blew up. They literally blew up, in those, the huge barrels that you see people are having around the streets for homeless, to keep them warm, or maybe you have them in your garden to burn off waste from your garden to make compost, whatever it is. I saw it blew up, and I just took it as a clear sign. I could feel it, in my whole body, that I just had to stop what I was doing. I had to do something completely different. The power of choice. So I said that I didn't know what to do. I just knew what not to do. So I sat down on my couch and I told my husband that I have stopped everything I'm doing, and I'm going to lay down now. And I'm going to lay here until one out of 2 things happen. Either I die or I get better, and I don't care which. And I really didn't care which. And I started this search for health that was so deep within me, because I was literally saving my life. I knew deep within that I either had to do better, I had to do something different, or I would not make it. I was on too many medications. I was getting worse and worse, at least so I felt. And so my life was just literally a living hell. Now, why am I telling you this? It's important that I'm telling you this. Why? Because I did something you should never do. I started fasting by myself without being prepared. I jumped right into a 6-day water fast with cigarettes in one hand. Yes, smoking like a chimney still. I had no idea what I was doing, but I'd been doing a little bit of reading, and I thought fasting sounds like a good idea without knowing anything about my system, about a toxic load. I didn't even know what was going on within my own body, because there was no one there that could guide me at that point. So the thing is, I started on my own, and my body literally almost shut down. It became too much. Not because the fasting is not a positive thing, but for me at that time, not a good thing. And then I also remember I did a 21-day fast, which then I thought a fast would be anything liquid, which, you could say it would be a better option than eating a lot. And I'll get to that very soon, why that is. But I was drinking salty broth with a lot of sodium. I was literally filling up with more toxins, and I was stimulating my adrenals to the point where my body almost went into a shock. So this is where I come from. Then I started researching, and then I started educating myself and became a professional coach. Then I met Dr. Morse, and then I learned even more and more. And now that I'm doing longer dry fasts, I've done longer water fasts and a very long juice fast, I feel I have something I want to share with you that's of real importance to you when it comes to fasting. So if you're interested in this topic, stay with me. First of all, why do we need to fast? Why, when you look into nature and you see a sick animal, you can see it in your domestic animals even, and children will show you this before they've been conditioned. When you don't feel good, you don't want to eat. When you are sick, when your body's fighting something, it is rejecting food, sometimes literally, or sometimes it's just showing you just don't have the appetite. You just don't want anything. You might want something cool, liquids, maybe a light fruit. Why? Because the body is smart. We're suffering from overeating and being undernourished. We're suffering from everything we put in. So when we go to fasting, it's because we want to activate the body's natural healing mechanisms. We want the body to go through the process that it naturally does when we stop feeding it. Now, fasting, the word fasting, the way that I perceive it, simply means refraining from, staying away from, not engaging in. So you can literally fast in many different ways and call it a fast. When people talk about fasting in the sense of getting healthy, most from way back, it was water fasting. We're always talking about water fasting. And no, that doesn't mean that you take tinctures or you take capsules or you drink coffee or anything but water. This is about simplicity. So we use the word fasting more during the later years, because there is so much to fast from, because we're bombarding ourselves with all the crap that's literally making us sick. So, health being about elimination, okay? Elimination needs to happen before detoxification and regeneration can happen. So, where do we need to start? We need to stop putting in what is literally filling us up with more mucus and more toxins. So once we stop taking in pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, negative thoughts, yes. Stress, yes. If I could have it my way, I would have you all fasting from stress and emotional drama. First of all, that would be like step number one. You'd be amazed at what the body could do with that type of fast. Then we go to the food fast, preparing to get to at least 100% fruit. That for many is a sort of a fast in the way that they're stepping away from everything but fruit. So they're fasting from any processed food, anything hard to digest. And this is, in my opinion, where you need to start if you want to move up the ladder to a deeper, longer fast. So if your body, look at it this way, if your body cannot handle to stay 30 days on fruits only, and when I mean cannot handle, I mean if your body lets go of too many toxins during that period, because we know it will, because you're allowing it to, your digestion is going to open up and the inner part of your complete intestinal tract, your small bowels, is going to start releasing the mucus the parasites, the fungus, everything that's been building up, the mucoid plaque that's been building up for years, maybe decades in your body, that's going to start happening from fruits only. Now, imagine if you skip that part and you jump right from eating a sad diet, from clogging yourself up, from having putrefied old matter sitting in your entire intestinal tract. Yes, because that's the grim truth about eating dairy, dead animals, processed, highly sprayed, modified food. We're simply not made for it. So if we go from there and jump into a deep water fast, what do you think is going to happen? There's going to be so much crap released at once, and if your eliminative organs are not up for that, it can be pretty harsh, and it can be almost, I would say, dangerous to your system because it becomes an overload. Plus, if you jump on this on yourself, without knowing your weaknesses, without knowing what's literally going on in your body, how could you best support yourself? So make sure you always have support as well. You can become a member. You can call on me for one-on-one. You can call on someone else. You can read up and really educate yourself. That's good too. But you need that support. Now, so here is my suggestion. You always move from where you're at to the next level of fasting, meaning elimination. Fasting in itself, when you get to the highest point, which is water fasting and dry fasting, the body does all of this in the same process or while you're in the fast. It eliminates, it detoxifies, and it starts regenerating, which is amazing. Now, and that's because it has no food that it has to process. And I'll talk a little bit about that. So you're on fruits, and if you've been on fruits for a while and you can handle the detoxification that comes from that change, meaning you can handle what the body is trying to get rid of, then I would say start juice fasting. Do a 3-day juice fast, meaning drink juices only. Yes, you can drink green juices and you can drink fruit juices. You can drink a celery juice, you can use cucumber juice, orange juice. You can make a mix. You can do ginger, lemon, celery, cucumber, apple. This has been like a very popular detoxification so-called one. I mean, but there's literally no ending to what you can juice. As long as it's a fruit, or it's a leafy green. And I would probably stop there. I wouldn't go to the more harsher vegetables or the onions. I would stay there if it was me. But I'm not you. So if you feel better on more juices, then that would be the next step. Why? Because now you're into the realm of deep elimination. Why? You have stopped most of the process of digestion. And what I have learned is that we, in times of heavy eating, we use more than 80% of our energy for digesting food. And can you imagine what the body can do with the rest, with that 80%? When you drink juices only, that is the main reason you're doing it, because you're not taking out any nutrients. You're just taking out the fiber. So you're still nurturing your cells. You're still feeding yourself that so needed sugar goes right into the cells. You'll feel the energy. So if you feel weak from juicing, it is not because you're not getting what you need. It's because you have started the process of detoxification. And I'll get back to, again, the detox symptoms and why. And how long can you juice fast? Well, I did 3 months of juices only. I'll touch on that too. It was a crazy long ride of deeper detoxification. And not everybody will get to that state from simply eating juices. I got there because my body was obviously ready for that. I have done many juice fasts, always had great results, meaning I've always seen that my body has stepped up to deeper healing. And you notice that by how you feel. You can feel it in two ways. Number one, you're feeling a deeper release in form of symptoms. And don't forget the emotional detox. Or you're literally just feeling better because your body got to that state. Or you're bypassing digestion, meaning you might even be a little malabsorbed. So when you put the juices right into your bloodstream, almost, then you'll feel more of the energetic field. So that's juice fasting. I would start with 3 days. You can easily then, if that goes well, jump into a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It's for most people easy to do, easy to handle for the body if it's ready. Remember, if you could already handle the fruits. I have a 1 week program. I have a 2 week program. Only juices. You can jump on that. Just ask me where to find it on my membership site, so also on my website. There are so many tools out there. Juicing is a great way to start. You're moving up the ladder. You have now triggered a deeper sense of detoxification because now the body has so much more energy to start releasing that stagnant lymph, to start moving it, to start breaking up tissue, scar tissue, no matter where you're at. And I can only speak in general because you could be literally living anything, right? I mean, you could be deep into an autoimmune, or you could simply have a lot of pimples or something else that you want to clear out. So all depending on where you're at, depending on where your diet's at, you go from eliminating all the toxins that you're eating to a whole food diet, then you move up to the fruits, and then you can start juice fasting. Now, the next step in fasting is the water fasting. And here is where the story in the body, the process, changes completely. You go into ketosis. You start producing ketones so that your body uses fat for fuel or transforms fat into carbohydrates or carbon that you can use. Because you see, the body literally dies. It doesn't function without sugars, without carbon. And this is why it's so crucial in your everyday diet to eat enough fruits and to step away from the fats. That's another video on why you don't want to mix the two. So for right now, this is what happens. When you've been on water for a couple of days, the body realizes there ain't going to be any nutrients here. There ain't going to be anything that I can use for fuel. So I'm going to have to start producing or rearranging within my body. And in that process, the body will also really start eating away at everything that you have available for it. Bacteria, viruses, tumors, boils, anything not needed. And it will also eat away at any weak or damaged cell. It really is a process that's uniquely magnificent, the way I see it. The reason we can't just promote and jump into a deep water fast is what I've already been talking about. From where we're at, it's just too dangerous. It can be too much. Not the fasting in itself, but we have put ourselves in a situation where our body doesn't function the way that it was designed to function. I mean, at least not at the highest level. So when it comes to water fasting, and I did a 20-day water fast where I still wasn't 100% ready, meaning you will know your level after the fast. Meaning, when you're fasting, it might seem okay, but after you break it, you'll notice if too many toxins were released for your body to be able to handle. And how do you notice that? A lot of the time, through rashes, edema, Those are the two things I see the most as the aftermath. It's the reaction the body has to too many toxins in the system that weren't released in the process, and then we stopped. We started eating, and sometimes we're just breaking the fast wrong. So that can create the same thing. We're not gently allowing the toxins that were stirred up to leave. So after my 3-week water fast, 21 day, I ended up with a full body rash. Stayed for about a couple of weeks, but it was itching me crazy. Obviously, my kidneys could not handle the extra load, and I went too deep, too fast. This is what I've learned now, to guide people through. This is why it's so important. Now, there's another level of fasting that I advocate. Not everybody does. Not everybody agrees. Dry fasting, meaning eating or drinking nothing at all. And this might be bold of me to even put in here, but I have it in my book, Know the Truth and Get Healthy too, a couple of comments on that, because I've been practicing it myself for years. And we do it every night. You go to sleep, you wake up, you didn't drink, you didn't eat. Well, hopefully. If you're stopping in the middle of the night and you're eating or drinking something, you should stop. The body needs the rest. While we sleep, it regenerates. Hormones are produced. The organs are refreshed. We are detoxifying at the deepest level possible while sleeping. We're perfectly made that way. Now, what's the difference between water fasting and dry fasting? Water fasting, in the word, says you drink water and water only. How much water, you might ask? Depending on the person. A gallon, 4 liters for a lot of people. 3 to 4 and maybe more liters, all depending on your level of activity. And that's another question. Let's do that before I jump into the dry fasting. Let's do that. So when you're juice fasting, there really isn't a reason from the standpoint of the juicing or the nourishing that you should not live your life as usual. Yes, you can go to work. Yes, you can work out. You can do whatever you usually do, except for when you don't feel like it, except for when you feel that the body is releasing something deep and it really is asking you the permission to rest. Then you allow it to rest. Always, when you go deeper into detoxification and you trigger the body to dig deeper, always listen. When it asks for rest, never hold back on that. Always give it. Remember, you're not doing nothing. You are detoxifying and healing while you are resting. So very important point. When you come to water fasting, it changes a little bit because you are no longer nourishing the body with nutrients. The body has a much deeper, much harder job to do. So more rest will be required. This is so individual that it's almost not possible to give advice. And remember, I'm not a doctor, so I could never give you medical advice. I could never tell you to do this for a specific purpose. This is for educational purposes only and to inspire you to look into what this can do for you. And to join me also in my tribe and in my membership, so you can see what it's like to do this together, guided by a health professional. Now, for some, they can live pretty normal on water only for a pretty long time if they're at that level. And the level doesn't mean like above and below. It means if their body is clean enough so that they can handle it, if the eliminative organs are strong enough so that they can handle it. That's all that it is. That's all I'm talking about. For some, yes. For others, it will be a time of bed rest, which for a couple of days or a little bit of time can be okay. All depending on, always be safe first and read up on fasting. Then there is the dry fasting. That is mostly used for intermittent fasting, meaning you have a dry window every 24 hours so that the body has more time to stay in the mode of not having to digest anything, not even water. It's not even hydrated. So you're literally dehydrating yourself by will for a purpose. And we have found, they have found, researchers have found, more experienced people than me have found. This is obviously not my finding. That when you go dry, when you don't even provide water, the process in the body changes a little bit. First of all, the body goes after your own waters. Inflammation, any type of swelling, edema. And it starts absorbing, utilizing that. And it's also believed that it goes deep into the cells to take out any impurity, any microbes that might be even in our cells. It starts eating up everything that it can get its hands on, your body. So it's a much deeper process. It should also be honored as such. It's this spiritual process. Myself, I've done a lot of 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. I've had amazing experiences with that, but I don't want to encourage you to jump into that. I want to encourage you to start implementing it when you're ready by simply having a larger resting window in your time of eating. We eat too much too often, most of us. So, and sometimes we just go grazing and snacking all the time. And remember, just fasting between meals is very helpful for the body. So it doesn't have to constantly digest. So I would suggest that you start by doing the 8 till 8, from 8 at night until 8 in the morning. You don't touch anything. You don't touch water. You don't touch anything. So you brush your teeth before 8, you stay completely dry, and you have 12 hours right there. And for a lot of people, that brings a lot to the table when it comes to healing. And if you can do 14 and 15, fine. Don't push yourself too much. Slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. We want the reset. We want back to nature. And when you start practicing fasting from whatever it is that you need to fast, if you need to break free from smoking or drinking alcohol or fatty foods or processed foods or cooked foods, whatever you're seeking to accomplish, once you start staying away from that which is holding you back, you will notice that the emotional part of this is actually where the key is, because you'll be naked. You'll be completely naked. Seeing yourself, maybe for the first time. For me, it was for the first time. It was not until I had been so sick that I was bedridden for years. I couldn't even go to the bathroom. I had to be carried. It was my dark night of the soul. Walking through that finally showed me who I was and what I had been doing. All the patterns that I had been stuck in my whole life. And this is what fasting can do for you. And eating lighter, a diet of higher frequency, more vibrational foods. Why? Because it's in sync with your cells. And it goes towards the principle of first, do no harm. Now, the detox symptoms that I promised I would touch upon. Detoxification symptoms. So there are several terms here. You have detoxification symptoms, you have healing crisis, and then you might have heard about the Herxheimer reaction. Little different. The Herxheimer reaction is a reaction that the body has from when you are killing off any form of foreign living amoeba, virus, bacteria, critter, worm, parasite, anything in that category. That's why it's used a lot in the Lyme communities, because that's Mr. Herxheimer. He was the one that named this. I think it was a German gentleman that named this reaction from what he was seeing when he was giving antibiotics to people with Lyme. Now, this will be something you can experience if you are taking any anti-parasitic herbs, for example, or doing anti-parasitic or antimicrobial amoeba essential oils, whatever you're doing so that the body or what you're putting in is killing off a foreign matter, you can have a Herxheimer reaction. And it's typically looks like feeling very ill. It could be a fever, it could be nauseated, chills, no energy, and it can be pretty harsh depending on what you're doing, and of course depending on the heavy load within you. Now then you have the detoxification symptoms, which are pretty much the same as a healing crisis or a healing event, different words. It comes from, so the detox, let's use the word detox symptoms, meaning when the body releases old crap, and it can be mucus, it can be snot, it can be diarrhea coming from your colon, it could be itching because toxins wants to come through your skin, it could be anything. When the body is releasing and you're feeling it as a physical symptom, because you know that that's where it's coming from. How would you know? Because you know what you're doing. So that would be a detoxification symptom. And those are the ones that I'll tell you a little bit about at the end, what they could be like, what they feel like. But that's a detoxification symptom. And you can have a lot of emotional detoxification symptoms, meaning you could get angry if your liver is purging. You can get a lot of anxiety if your adrenals are regulating. Let's use that word. The fear is in the kidneys. And every time you've been through any type of trauma, peptides are created in your cells. So when the body detoxifies, and what does that mean? It starts getting rid of the weak and damaged cells within your body. It is also going to release those peptides and the memory. So you're filled with all these cell memories. So you're not getting worse, but you're shown what is being released, and you have been invited to heal so that you're not going to be triggered by the same type of events again. This is why I'm in the middle of a new online course, which is about emotional abuse, so that you can recognize it and also walk through it with grace and release through detoxification in a special way. And this is why I also have my online audio course that you can do today called Stop Sabotaging Your Health, because you won't believe how many people are stopped by detoxification symptoms. And we're sabotaging ourselves because we're allowing ourselves to be fearful of the symptoms or thinking we can't deal with them. So physical and emotional reactions that the body is creating because of what you have changed are detoxification symptoms. Healing crisis, and I like the word a healing event better, is much of the same, but we can take that even deeper, and then you can feel it has more of a healing ring to it and more of a spiritual ring to it. And the body, you see, it doesn't only eliminate. It also repairs during that phase. But we call it detoxification first and then regeneration, because all depending what it's like. But I want to touch on the retracing part, because that's what I want to link this up to. Meaning, so you can do better, you're up to all fruits, and you've been through a lot of healing crises. You can feel the events coming, and you can feel like, you feel like crap. You know what this is, the body rides through it. You know what to do. You've learned how to pull back. You've learned you have support. You know when to stop. You know when to hold them, when to fold them. And then all of a sudden, older issues starts coming up. Meaning you might start having pain in a knee that you haven't felt in many years. And this retracing is also a healing event. It's not a detox symptom. Your body's not necessarily taking out junk from that knee, but it's healing. And what does healing look like? Inflammation and pain. It's healing. All right, that's also healing. It's another video, but we have a misconception about the body and its language and what it's trying to tell us. So, not to keep you for too long, I want to touch upon, like I said, the detoxification symptoms. And I'll throw in a couple of tips on what you can do if you're feeling them heavily. So, what does it look like? Well, detoxification symptoms, depending on your situation within your specific body, we're talking about anything from losing your hair, weaker nails, skin sagging up. This is not fun. And why am I saying this? Because this would reflect your parathyroid for a little while. Now, then we're talking about typically headache, stiffness, mucus coming out your nose, your ears clogging up. We could talk about ringing in your ears, throat clogging up, teeth issues, gum issues, inflammation, moving down to feeling pressure in your chest. You can have a lot of digestive issues, nausea, bloating, low-grade fever, swelling of joints. You know what I used to say? I used to say that I felt like I had a hangover, and I just missed the party. So I was just hung over constantly, and I didn't go to the party. What a bummer. So it could be very different from anyone, but know that it can have many different faces, but you are the one responsible for taking care of you. So always check in with your healthcare professional if you're on any type of medications or you have any diagnosis so that someone can help you. Or step up and 100% educate yourself and take responsibility. That's another option that we all have. And only you will know what's right for you. Now, as you're walking through this, what can you do? What can you do to ease some of these symptoms? They are elimination symptoms, right? So you can take herbs to strengthen your eliminative organs depending on which ones are weak within you. You can use sauna, that can help. You could take hot baths with essential oils, vinegar, salt. Some people do very well with Epsom salts. You can do deep breathing, which will move the lymph and eliminate more. Cold showers will move the lymph, eliminate more, and strengthen your entire being and immune system. You can have easy going light massages, aromatherapy. I love it. You can use so many different essential oils to ease both pain and to get movement going. Remember to be stretching. You can use a neti pot if your head is stuffed up. You can use ear candles if your ears are clogged up. You can do self lymphatic massage. I have the links in my membership site. And then you can rest. You can always rest more when you're healing. Allow yourself. So I'm going to leave you with that. And if you're following me, we can check in and see how far have I gotten with all my gray coming out. So this is what it looks like now. My hair is almost off. You see it's turning gray. And what I'm going to do to transition more, if I'm going to cut it, I don't know. For right now, it is what it is. And I thank you for the support. If you want to join me in doing this, poke me. The more the merrier. I'm having a lot of fun growing my gray feathers and being more proud of my years and my wisdom. So namaste. Please share. Please subscribe. I'm leaving you all the links below. Have a beautiful, beautiful day or night wherever you are. I love you.